Hello, Alma Angeles. We're moving to the next stage of the pandemic. As the world resets to the new normal, we find ourselves seeking the right balance between health and livelihood, constantly adjusting the boundaries between liberty and responsibility. Here are tonight's news. First, several million people sheltered and prayed for the best on Wednesday as one of the fiercest cyclones in decades roared towards Bangladesh and eastern India with forecasts of a potentially devastating and deadly storm surge. Take a look. Authorities have scrambled to evacuate low-lying areas in Amphan's projected trail of destruction, only the second super cyclone to form over the Bay of Bengal since records began. But their task is complicated by the need to follow precautions to prevent the spread of the coronavirus, with infection numbers still soaring in both countries and hospitals struggling to cope. At midday, the vast vortex visible from space was 125 kilometers offshore and forecast to slam into the coast in the afternoon or evening. Gusts of up to 185 kilometers per hour were predicted when it does. The Indian Meteorological Department said the equivalent of a Category 3 hurricane with a storm surge of several meters. Bangladeshi forecasters said it would hit around 6 p.m., predicting a surge of seawater of up to 15 feet high. Such walls of water can cascade several kilometers inland and are often the main killers in any cyclone, typhoon, or hurricane. The Indian Met Office warned of possible flying objects, extensive damage to communications and power lines, and trees being ripped out of the ground by the wind. Kolkata was battered by heavy rain, and the muddy Hooghly River was rising under dark skies, while in the coastal resort of Digha, large waves were pounding the shore. Now, Cyclone Amphan has a very damaging potential and is a double threat for the populations on the forecast path, in addition to COVID-19. That is according to the head of India's Meteorological Department. Let's listen in.
We expected for this strength of wind.
This wind speed of 155 to 165, gusting to 185 kmph is very strong. It has got a very high damaging potential. We can expect extensive and large-scale damage in the coastal districts of West Bengal. Certainly, it is you can say a double threat in this pandemic situation. We have got the threat due to this COVID-19, and at the same time, we have got this tropical cyclone approaching a densely populated area of West Bengal and Bangladesh. And while evacuating people, it is also being ensured that social distancing is maintained. So for this purpose, in addition to the existing shelters, government is also finding out the special avenues to accommodate the people.
In Bangladesh, the low-lying coast, home to 30 million people, and India's east are regularly battered by cyclones that have claimed the lives of hundreds of thousands of people in recent decades. The eastern Indian state of Odisha was hit by a super cyclone that left nearly 10,000 dead in 1999, 8 years after a typhoon, tornadoes, and flooding killed 139,000 in Bangladesh. In 1970, Cyclone Bola killed 500,000, while the storm's frequency and intensity have increased, a phenomenon blamed partly on climate change. Deaths have fallen thanks to faster evacuations, better technology, and more shelters. But Bangladesh authorities still fear that Amphan will be the most powerful storm front, since Cyclone Sidir killed about 3,500 people and causing billions of dollars in damage in 2007. The country has been feverishly working to bring 2.2 million people to safety, while India has relocated around 400,000 others because of the coronavirus. Authorities in both countries said that they were using extra shelter space to reduce crowding, while also making face masks compulsory and setting aside isolation rooms. The UK virus death toll over 41,000, with 10,000 care homes deaths and a 100-year-old British World War II veteran captain Tom Moore is to be knighted after raising nearly $40 million for healthcare charities. We have those reports from Graham Thomas. Hello, Graham.
Hello, Alma. Good evening.
Good evening.
Here's our report from the United Kingdom. I trust you are well. Britain's
Thank you.
official coronavirus death toll is now at least 41,000, with almost 10,000 of those coming from care homes in England and Wales alone, according to a statistical update released yesterday, Tuesday. Some 41,020 deaths where COVID-19 was mentioned on the death certificate were registered across the UK by May the 8th, according to the Office for National Statistics. With hundreds of deaths still being reported each day, it means the current toll, already the highest in Europe and second only to the United States in the global rankings, is likely to be even higher. The government's official rolling tally only records deaths after positive tests, and on Tuesday stood at 35,341, being up 545 on the day before. However, the ONS figures show a sharp fall in coronavirus deaths in the week up to May 8, reinforcing ministers' claims that Britain is past the peak. Deaths in care homes also fell at a slower rate than the population at large, and the total number of deaths in care homes in England and Wales now stands at 9,975. Prime Minister Boris Johnson's government has come under intense criticism for its handling of the outbreak, notably for the time it took to introduce widespread testing. A cross-party parliamentary committee on Tuesday criticised the decision to initially concentrate testing in a limited number of laboratories. From it followed the decision on March 12 to cease testing in the community and retreat to testing principally within hospitals, it said, warning this left care home residents untested. At the government's daily briefing, England's Deputy Chief Scientific Advisor, Angela McLean, admitted that limited capacity had driven strategy on testing. It was the best thing to do with the tests that we had. We could not have people in hospital with COVID symptoms not knowing whether or not they had COVID-19, she said. Health Secretary Matt Hancock earlier told Parliament he was encouraged that care home deaths were falling. A total of 62% of care homes in England had no reported cases of COVID-19 at all, he added. Just over a quarter of all deaths in England from the virus were in such places, compared with a European average of about half, he told MPs. We will not rest from doing whatever is humanly possible to protect our care homes from this appalling virus, he said. For more positive news, 100-year-old Britain's World War II veteran Captain Tom Moore is to be knighted after raising nearly $40 million or nearly 30 million pounds for healthcare charities, with Prime Minister Boris Johnson calling him a beacon of light during the coronavirus pandemic. The knighthood, which brings with it the title of Sir, will be formally issued by Queen Elizabeth II. Moore set himself the goal to raise just $1,200 or £1,000 for National Health Service charities by walking 100 laps in his garden before his 100th birthday in April. His efforts and humility propelled him to a national flame, with a high-speed train named after him and Royal Air Force jets performing a flypast for his birthday on April 30th. He then became the oldest artist to reach #1 in the UK music single charts, singing a cover of You'll Never Walk Alone with British star stage Michael Ball and an NHS choir. Those are my updates from the United Kingdom. Back to you, Alma.
Thank you for your updates. We look forward to hearing from you again soon. Thank you, Graham Thomas and our United Kingdom Bureau. Thank you very much.
Thank you. From the United Kingdom, this is Graham Thomas reporting for EBC News. We live in interesting times.
And Vietnam's rubber stamp parliament opened its summer session using video conferencing to carry out the proceedings for the first time. Joining us live from Vietnam is Ralph Wandolph Empire. Hello, Ralph.
Hi there, Alma. Pleasant evening to you. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Thank you for asking. How are you?
I'm okay. I'm good. It's pretty hot here in Hanoi. It's summer now. So, yeah, Alma, now for the latest updates here in Hanoi. Yesterday, Vietnam's Lawmaking National Assembly commenced its first ever online session against the backdrop of the ongoing pandemic. The ninth session of the 14th Tenure National Assembly is scheduled to take place from May 20 to June 18. The session will be divided into two phases, with the first organized as a teleconference from May 20 to May 29. Chairwoman Nguyen T. Kim Ngan and Hanoi-based delegates will attend the session at the NA Building or National Assembly Building in the capital. Other National Assembly members in other provinces and cities in the country will tune in from their respective local offices. The second phase, which runs from June 8 to June 18, will be held traditionally as all deputies across the country are required to show up at the NA Building in Hanoi. Following the opening speech of Chairwoman Ngan, the legislators listened to the government's reports on the country's socioeconomic development. Delegates are set to spend most of the first day considering the ratification of the EU-Vietnam Free Trade Agreement and EU-Vietnam Investment Protection Agreement. They will spend more than half of the working time on lawmaking, including voting on 10 draft laws and discussing 6 others. During the ninth session, the National Assembly will also consider and make decisions on some socioeconomic and state budget issues. Now, in other news, Alma, yesterday during the video meeting of the UN Security Council, Vietnam has called for special attention to responding to the COVID-19 epidemic, which is exacerbating the humanitarian crisis in Syria. Deputy Permanent Representative of Vietnam to the UN ambassador said humanitarian access must be maintained in all areas in Syria and a favorable security environment must be ensured for humanitarian activities. He appealed to the international community to support Syria in this difficult time, including ensuring the supply of food and medical supplies necessary for COVID-19 prevention and control. And for the latest update about COVID-19 cases here in Vietnam, a total of 324, 263 have recovered, and the 61 active cases are the Vietnamese who returned from abroad and they're now under treatment. The British pilot, the critical COVID-19 patient, is now free of the coronavirus, but remains on life support. In the past 19 days, he has tested negative for the virus 5 times. However, the hospital director said a lung transplant is still on agenda as decided by the health ministry last week. For now, the patient is still suffering from pleural infection and is not ready for a transplant. Free of the virus, he has been transferred to the Cho Ray Hospital for further treatment. Experts from the ministry will work together to decide whether he needs more organ transplants besides his lungs because some of them have been damaged, Cho said, without elaborating. The nation has spent about 5 billion Vietnamese dong, equivalent to 215,000 US dollars over the past 2 months on the British man, and the estimated cost of a lung transplant is about 1.5 to 2 billion Vietnamese dong, or equivalent to 65 to 86 US dollars. The Viet Duc Hospital in Hanoi has been asked to get ready to operate once the patient is eligible for a lung transplant and matching donor is found. So far, 60 people in Vietnam have volunteered to donate part of their lungs to the British man, but doctors said they would give priority to donations from brain-dead donors. The situation is complicated by the fact that the pilot had said he has no relatives when he was still conscious. Under current regulations in Vietnam, all surgical interventions must be agreed by the patient or the patient's authorized representative. Now, a few more updates, Alma. The Deputy Minister of Health stated that Vietnam has conducted 275,000 COVID-19 tests as of May 12, or 2,000 daily tests. Religious activities in Vietnam were allowed to resume from May 8, but with preventive measures for large gatherings. Furthermore, the government has allowed the resumption of all non-essential services except for clubs and karaoke parlors, but with preventive measures. Next, the Ministry of Transport on May 6 relaxed social distancing guidelines on planes, buses, taxis, and ships. And lastly, public beaches in several cities and provinces, including Da Nang, Nha Trang, Binh, Thanh Hoa, Quang Nam, Quang Ninh, Thanh Hoa, and Nghệ An reopened, but with social distancing restrictions. In addition, tourism activities resumed in Halong Bay and Bai Tu Long Bay from May 1. Back to you, Alma.
All right. Thank you for your updates. Ralph, do take care of yourself.
All right. This is Ralph Wendell, reporting live from Hanoi, Vietnam. We live in interesting times.
Eagle News, we'll be right back.
Mula noon hanggang ngayon, gabay natin ang MTRCB ratings sa matalino at responsableng panonood. Sa tamang pagsunod sa MTRCB ratings, ginagawa nating ligtas at makabuluhan ang panonood ng bawat miyembro ng pamilyang Pilipino. Lumipas man ang panahon, hanggang may pamilyang Pilipino, andyan ang MTRCB.
The primary beneficiary of the proceeds will go to the FYM Medical Foundation that also supports the New Era General Hospital, which maintains a biocontainment facility, also intended for COVID-19 patients.
Here are the many ways to donate and be able to help health workers and frontliners through the FYM Medical Foundation as our beneficiary. First, donate via pymy.co/EBC. Just use any Visa, MasterCard, or JCB credit, debit, or prepaid card and donate by logging on to pymy.co/EBC. Just choose an amount you wish to donate and enter your card details. Second, donate via the PayMaya app. If you have a PayMaya account, you can easily donate by scanning the QR code you see on the screen. Just log on to your app, click the scan button, point your camera to the QR code that you see on the screen, and enter the amount you wish to donate. Third, donate via PayPal. For PayPal app users, just log on to eaglenews.ph and click the PayPal Donate Now button found at the upper portion of the website. Input the amount you wish to donate, click Use this donation for Enjoy Music Beyond the Crisis, and choose between Donate with PayPal or Donate with a credit card in order to enter your additional information. Fourth, donate directly to the EBC bank account that is flashing on your screens. You can complete transactions online or directly with your banks. Fifth, donate over the counter using ebc.pay8.app. Just go to ebc.pay8.app or scan the QR code and you can now choose to donate over the counter via the app. After typing your donation details, you can choose your payment options including over-the-counter payments like Palawan Express, LBC, EC Pay, and Cebuana Luwilier. You can also pay through credit and debit cards and mobile e-wallets using the ebc.pay8.app. Wherever you are in the world, you can easily help those affected by the COVID-19 pandemic, even while at home, through our beneficiary, FYM Medical Foundation. Donate now and watch out for the next performances of Enjoy Music Beyond the Crisis, EBC 52nd Anniversary Special on Net25 and on all EBC social media channels on May 24th, 2020. Together, let's all do our part and stand as one against COVID-19. This is Julianne, We live in interesting times.
U.S. President Donald Trump defended his bombshell announcement that he is taking hydroxychloroquine, an anti-malaria drug that his own government's experts have said is not suitable for fighting the coronavirus. Let's listen in.
There was a false study done where they gave it to very sick people, extremely sick people, people that were ready to die. It was given by obviously not friends of the administration. And the study came out, the people were ready to die. Everybody was old, had bad problems with hearts, diabetes, and everything else you can imagine come out. Italy, France, Spain, ourselves, many doctors, many doctors came out and they said, it's great. Now, you have to go to a doctor. I have a doctor in the White House. I said, what do you think? And it's just a line of defense. I'm just talking about as a line of defense. I'm dealing with a lot of people. Look at all the people in the room. You know, I'm the president, and I'm dealing with a lot of people. Hydroxychloroquine is used by thousands and thousands of frontline workers so that hopefully they don't catch this horrible disease or whatever you want to call it. It is a terrible virus. It's a terrible thing. And a lot of people are taking it. A lot of doctors are taking it. A lot of people swear by it. It's gotten a bad reputation only because I'm promoting it. So I'm obviously a very bad promoter. If anybody else were promoting it, they'd say this is the greatest thing ever. But because of me.
Brazil has seen a record number of coronavirus deaths as the pandemic that has swept across the world begins to hit Latin America with its full force. Take a look. After Asia, Europe, and North America, Latin America has seen coronavirus infections surge in recent days and now accounts for about 580,000 of the world's nearly 5 million confirmed cases. Brazil has been hardest hit in the region, rising to the third highest number of cases in the world, as Peru, Mexico, and Chile also see steady increases in infections. Health officials in Brazil reported 1,179 new coronavirus deaths on Tuesday, the first time the daily toll exceeded 1,000. But far-right President Jair Bolsonaro remains bitterly opposed to lockdowns, having described them as unnecessary over a little flu. President Bolsonaro has refused to accept experts' advice on responding to the pandemic, pressing regional governors to end stay-at-home measures. And like U.S. counterpart, President Donald Trump, he has also promoted the use of anti-malaria drug hydroxychloroquine against the virus, despite studies showing it has no benefit. Taiwan President Tsai Ing-wen was sworn into office on Wednesday as she commenced her second term with record-high approval ratings for her handling of the coronavirus pandemic. Tsai is loathed by Beijing because she views Taiwan as a de facto sovereign state and not part of one China. Take a look.
我要再次重申，和平、对等、民主、对话这8个字，我们不会接受北京当局以一国两制矮化台湾、破坏台海的现状，这是我们坚定不移的原则。在变局之中，我会坚持原则，并秉持解决问题的开放态度，负起责任。我也期盼对岸的领导人能够承担起相对的责任，共同稳定两岸关系的长远发展。
President Tsai, as earlier said, is loathed by Beijing because she views Taiwan as a de facto sovereign state and not part of a one China. Since she first came to office in 2016, China has rebuffed offers of talks and ramped up economic, military, and diplomatic pressure on the island. Beijing views Taiwan as part of its territory and has vowed to seize it by force if necessary. Taiwan, officially the Republic of China, has been ruled separately from the mainland since 1949 after the nationalists lost a civil war to the communists and fled to the island to set up a rival government. For decades, Taiwan's leaders and many voters saw themselves as the true representatives for all of China, even as the vast majority of nations switched diplomatic recognition to Beijing. But as the island moved from an autocracy to a democracy from the 1990s, a distinct Taiwanese identity has emerged, with many no longer seeking any kind of reunification with China. And that has caused growing alarm in Beijing, which says any formal declaration of independence by Taiwan would cross a red line. Eagle News will be right back. Stay tuned.
Ein sonniger Tag heute hier in Berlin vor dem Bundestag. Ich bin Irene Juliet Arzadon und möchte diese Gelegenheit nutzen, um ein paar Worte mit euch zu teilen. An alle Menschen da draußen. In dieser Zeit lasst uns nicht vergessen, den Menschen zu danken, die ihr Leben für uns opfern. Sei es die Menschen, die im Krankenhaus arbeiten, in den Altenheimen sowie in den Arztpraxen, aber auch an die Menschen, die im Lebensmittelhandel sich befinden. Die Kassierer. Manchmal reicht es aus, um ihnen ein freundliches Lächeln zu geben. Denn die Menschen, die heute am Arbeiten sind, weil sie nicht so wie einige von uns zu Hause bleiben können, die sollten wir wertschätzen. Ihnen sollten wir unseren Dank ausrichten. Darum lasst uns noch mehr zusammenhalten, sie wertschätzen.
Batid ko po at nating lahat ang suliraning dinadanas po ngayon ng buong mundo. Nakakalungkot man po, ngunit may mga kababayan po tayo na namamatay at dumadanas ng matinding paghihirap dahil dito. Ngunit huwag po sana tayong mawalan ng pag-asa dahil isa lamang po itong pagsubok na kapag po nagtulong-tulong tayo ay malalagpasan din po natin.
At sana po kahit na tulad ko po ay nananatili tayo sa loob ng ating mga bahay, ay gawin pa rin po natin ang lahat ng ating makakaya upang tumulong. Marami pong paraan upang makatulong mula sa ating mga bahay. Meron na pong mga online donations, meron pong mga iba pang paraan ng pagtulong. Lalo na po para sa ating frontliners. Maraming salamat po sa lahat ng mga nagbubuwis ng kanilang mga buhay araw-araw para po sa ating kapakanan.
At sumunod po tayo sa government natin because at the end of the day, everything that they're telling us is for our own safety. At higit po sa lahat, make sure to pray for everyone, pray for everything that is going on right now.
What is important is to hold on to things, for us to stay more positive, for us to be more strong, not only physically but also mentally. Spend time with our loved ones, with our families, and let's all trust God. Continue to be loyal to Him, always be more prayerful, and stay positive, stay safe and well, and God is all with us.
Stay positive pa rin po ang paningin natin sa buhay, at stay healthy, stay at home. Higit sa lahat, huwag po natin kakalimutan ng manalangin sa ating Panginoong Diyos dahil ayun po ang sagot sa lahat po ng problema. So, mag-ingat po tayong lahat, and God bless.
So maraming salamat pong muli sa mga frontliners at sa lahat po ng mga gumagawa ng lahat ng kanilang mga kaya upang makatulong. God bless you all.
Okay, the United Nations said transforming the transport sector to be more environmentally friendly could create up to millions of jobs worldwide. Joining us live from Geneva, Switzerland is Jim Hippolito. Hello, Jim.
Hi, Alma. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thank you for granting our request for you to report. Thank you so much. Hello, Jim.
Yes, here is the latest from Geneva. Transforming the transport sector to be more environmentally friendly in the aftermath of the COVID-19 pandemic could create up to 15 million new jobs worldwide and help countries move to greener, healthier economies, according to a UN-backed report published on Tuesday. The study argues that recovery from this crisis cannot mean a return to business as usual for a sector that accounts for more than 60 million jobs globally. Instead, it provides an opportunity to advance the collective effort to achieve sustainable development for all people and the planet by 2030 through the Sustainable Development Goals. Pursuing the goal of an environmentally sustainable and inclusive society requires a structural transformation of the economy, including both changes in the products and services and offer and production processes, said Catherine Sage, team leader of the International Labour Organization, ILO, which co-authored the report. This structural transformation, which should include the transport sector, has the potential to create decent work and protect workers and their families if it is accompanied by suitable policies. The report, Jobs in Green and Healthy Transport, Making the Green Shift, is the work of the ILO and the UN Economic Commission for Europe, UNECE, with the support of the Partnership on Jobs in Green and Healthy Transport, part of the Transport, Health and Environment Pan-European Program. It examines the employment implications of 4 green transport scenarios in nearly 60 countries in North America, Europe, the Caucasus, and the Central Asia, which are UNECE members. The scenarios, which envisage an accelerated expansion of public transport and the electrification of private passenger and freight transport, are compared with a business-as-usual approach. The authors found that half of all vehicles manufactured going forward were electric. An estimated 10 million more jobs could be created worldwide, nearly a third of them in the UNECE region. Additionally, nearly 5 million more jobs could be created if UNECE countries doubled their investment in public transport. These measures could also spark job creation outside the transport sector. For example, reduced oil spending could lead to a rise in spending on goods and services, while electrification could boost job creation in the renewable energy sector. Other potential benefits include reduced greenhouse gas emissions, air and noise pollution, and traffic congestion. Back to you, Alma.
All right. Thank you very much, Jim, for your updates. Thank you, Geneva Bureau.
Thank you, Alma. This is Jim Hippolito reporting live from Geneva, Switzerland, and we live in interesting times.
Meanwhile, auto workers are lining up outside the Chrysler factory at the Warren Truck Assembly in Warren, Michigan. As they return to work for the first time in nearly 8 weeks, take a look.
Fantastic. What up, Brad?
What's going on, baby?
I think everybody should be tested before they go in the plant. Because you know what? You can go in the plant and get sick, and you don't know it. So it's like you're risking your life to go in there.
We should be out to at least July like they anticipated. And, you know, I think we need to start, well, the government needs to start caring about the people instead of these vehicles, because our safety is number one.
I expect to see things being clean. I expect to see safety protocols being followed. And I expect us to know something as far as what's the next steps for us. But as far as the overall bringing in this amount of people all at one time, I believe it can be a little hard. It's like 1,000 people all in one area. So 6 feet can be kind of very, very difficult at times during restroom breaks and things like that.
Berlin's main international airport, cramped but ultra-convenient Tegel, will be mothballed on June 15 due to the coronavirus outbreak and is unlikely to ever reopen. That is according to the city government. As the German capital plans to inaugurate a new airport just outside the city limits in October, after a nearly decade-long delay, the consortium running the regional airfields voted to shut Tegel for 2 months owing to low demand during the pandemic. We have a temporary operation stop with the option to reopen if necessary. Whether that will happen, I cannot say. That is according to Berlin government spokeswoman Eva Henkel. Officials had previously expressed doubts whether any flights will take off after mid-June from the beloved facility, with its iconic hexagon shape and highly unusual proximity to the city center. Berlin's new international airport, known as BER, is set to open on October 31, 2020 after repeated postponements owing to structural problems and corruption. Tegel was scheduled to close in November, but the devastating impact of coronavirus on travel has seen the need for its continued operation diminish. And stranded Filipinos in Macau were repatriated to the Philippines. We have an update from Kit Wong.
120 Filipinos are being repatriated today by a charter flight here in Macau International Airport. According to Ms. Lilibeth Diabara, Philippine Consul General, from the first week of May, the Macau Group of Companies, which is one of the biggest companies in Macau, owning famous hotels, resorts, and casinos, have arranged a charter flight to repatriate more than 100 of their employees that they laid off.
2 years na po ako dito sa Macau. Sa katunayan, nag-aantay lang po ako ng flight para sa special kasi nga gawa nga ng COVID na stuck kami dito, hindi kami nakaalis. Ngayon, nagpapasalamat kami sa consulate para nasama kami sa special flight na binigay ng government.
Makakabalik po kami sa Pilipinas. We can go back to Philippines properly because our company do their best to give our special flight, and then hope to see again in Macau, Altira, and the COD. I don't know what would be the exact number of us Filipino who will be going back to the Philippines, but as far as I know, we are almost 300 plus. If I'm not 300 plus or 200 plus, if I'm not mistaken. Opportunity, madam. For me, just for my own opinion, I accepted already the offer of the company because the company for me is very thankful on my part because they are the one will shoulder all the expenses going back to the Philippines and as well as the financial support for our own expenses going back to the Philippines.
When we heard in the first week of May that Nelco is arranging a flight, we were I approached them and I spoke with one of the executives, and he told me that they will have a 120-seater charter plane, and they will repatriate 100 of their employees.
Ms. Diabara also stated that many hotels and casinos, even establishments, were forced to lay off their employees due to the domino effect of this COVID-19 pandemic. There are still around 500 individuals on the list for repatriation by the Philippine Consulate here in Macau.
Had workers also who have been terminated before, and they applied that we repatriate them. Unfortunately, at this time, we are still arranging a flight to bring home some 500 individuals, tourists and workers alike.
She reiterated that the Philippine government are still arranging flights for repatriation for both OFWs and tourists who were stuck in Macau since the government lockdown. OFWs who will arrive in Manila will be free of charge for quarantine, and will be taken swab testing and sent to their respective hometown.
We were so happy that they granted us the seats. It's not, the seats are free, but we have to pay for the tax. So we will be covering, the consulate will be covering for the tax. And once they reach Manila, they will have to have the swab tests. They will stay in a quarantine 3 to 5 days while waiting for the results of the quarantine. And for the workers, this is free of charge to be covered by the OWA office. After 3 to 5 days, hopefully the results are already available. Those whose results are negative will be sent to their provinces, to their residences by the government. The Department of Transportation is handling that aspect. And then, if they're positive, they will be sent to hospitals where they will be treated. That's the reason why also we had to get the names of their next of kin. We have to get their exact residences or addresses in the Philippines so that it is easier to manage.
She also mentioned that many of the OFWs, particularly those working in hotels and casinos, are still on leave without pay.
For example, if some foreigner, Filipino, if they are short of their visa or they have no more visa to staying in Macau, how can consulate to help them to extend their visa to stay?
The Philippine Consulate General is in touch with the immigration people, and the immigration people are very much aware that at present there are no flights available going back to the Philippines. There are no flights available anywhere, and even if they go to Hong Kong, they might not be. Well, at the moment there are buses, but if they go to Macau, if they go to Hong Kong, they will not be allowed entry. Or if they are allowed entry, then they will have to go quarantine. So immigration knows that there are no flights available, and they have put in place a system whereby they are, I think, shown leniency. They're not like incarcerated for overstaying because they have no visa.
From Macau, reporting for Eagle News, this is Kit Wong. We live in an interesting time.
Japan's beloved high school summer baseball tournament has been canceled for the first time because of the coronavirus. Joining us live from Japan is Dennis Liu. Hello, Dennis.
Hello, Alma. Good evening to you and to all our televiewers. Japan's beloved high school summer baseball tournament has been canceled for the first time since World War II due to the coronavirus. It not only caused heartache across the country, there are millions of dollars in lost revenue as well. It is hard to overemphasize the importance of the tournament, which attracts wall-to-wall coverage on Japan's national broadcaster NHK and has launched the careers of many Japanese baseball stars. Masahiro Tanaka of the New York Yankees, Yu Darvish of the Chicago Cubs, and Shohei Ohtani of the Los Angeles Angels all earned their spurs in the tournament played at Koshien Stadium near the western city of Osaka. The high school tournament was scheduled for a 16-day run from Monday, August 10th, but we have decided to cancel the tournament, the Japan High School Baseball Federation said in a brief statement on Wednesday. The competition is seen as even more important than the professional leagues in the baseball mad country. The local Hanshin Tigers pro team had to play elsewhere during the competition at their stadium. The cancellation was expected, but is still another blow to Japanese sports fans who are reeling from the postponement of the Tokyo 2020 Olympics. Scrapping the tournament could result in losses of up to 67.2 billion yen or 627 million US dollars, according to Katsuhiro Miyamoto, a professor emeritus at Kansai University. However, the professor said the economic cost will pale compared with the loss of a lifetime for the high school stars of the future who have worked so hard to get in top form for the tournament. Back to you, Alma.
All right. Thank you very much. Keep the updates coming in Japan. We look forward for more. Thank you, Dennis.
Thank you very much, Alma. Reporting live from Tokyo, Japan, this is Dennis Lu. We live in interesting times.
In other news, a Chinese man kidnapped as a toddler 32 years ago has been reunited with his biological parents. This after police used facial recognition technology to help track him down. Take a look. Mao Yin was just 2 years old when he was snatched outside a hotel in Xi'an in central Shanxi province in 1988 and sold to a childless couple in neighboring Sichuan province, who raised him as their own son, according to Xi'an's Public Security Bureau in a statement. Now, police aged one of Mao's childhood photos, according to state broadcaster CCTV, and then used the model to scan the national database and find close matches. They were acting on a tip-off that a person in a certain area of Sichuan had bought a child in the late 80s on Monday. Now, the now 34-year-old had a tearful reunion, as you saw earlier, with his birth parents who had never given up the search for their missing boy. Mao's mother, Li Jingji, told CCTV that after he was taken, she quit her job and sent over 100,000 flyers to officials and appeared on several TV channels to appeal for his return. Over the past 3 decades, Li had followed 300 false leads to see if they were her missing son. But in late April, police in Xi'an were tipped off that a man in Sichuan province had bought a child from Shanxi in late 1980s, according to the statement from Xi'an officials. Police tracked down Mao and later confirmed he was the abducted son of Li Jingji after a DNA test. Mao's adoptive parents had renamed him Gu Ningning, and he grew up without any knowledge of his birth parents or that he had been abducted. Mao, who runs a home decoration business in Sichuan, told CCTV he would move to Xi'an to live with his birth parents. There are no official statistics on the number of children who disappeared every year in China, but a system was established in 2016 to send alerts about missing children through social media and mobile phone texts. Police have helped more than 6,300 abducted children to reunite with their families over the past decade through the DNA matching system, according to Xinhua. Kidnapping and child trafficking became widespread in China from the 1980s when the draconian one-child rule was enforced, with a cultural obsession with sons also fueling demand for kidnapped babies. All right, finally in our news, the Philippine government conducted a final inspection of the mega swabbing center at the Philippine Sports Stadium inside Ciudad de Victoria. Bringing at that news is Erlo Bringas. Hello, Erlo.
This mega swabbing center here in Philippine Sports Stadium in Ciudad de Victoria can be used in the next few days for COVID-19 emergency response. The Philippine government conducted its final inspection on Wednesday, May 20, 2020 of the mega swabbing center at the Philippine Sports Stadium inside the Ciudad de Victoria compound in Bucay, Bulacan. A total of 96 test booths put up here in the Philippine Sports Stadium for a mega swabbing facility and can accommodate of almost 1,500 testing per day. It is targeted to assist in collecting swab specimens so that testing efforts will increase in the Greater Metro Manila area and will be manned by around 400 volunteers from various government agencies. It is one of 4 mega centers targeting the north sector of National Capital Region and also Bulacan and Pampanga, which are all under modified enhanced community quarantine. There are also plans to construct a molecular laboratory in the area for COVID-19 tests, according to officials. The National Task Force for COVID-19, led by Secretary Carlito Galvez Jr., Deputy Chair Vince Dizon, led the inspection of the swabbing center at the Philippine Sports Stadium, which is beside the Philippine Arena. Galvez said that the government is now overwhelmed with huge influx of overseas Filipino workers or OFWs repatriated to the country. The establishment of mega swabbing centers is a big help so that more of these OFWs can be tested.
Nakita po natin na mayroon po tayong problema sa OFW that we were overwhelmed by the influx of OFW na more or less 35,000 every month. At ito pong swabbing center na 6 tents at saka yung testing booth po nito ay napakalaking tulong sa ating gobyerno at sa ating mamamayan. Yung ating pasasalamat ng ating mahal na Pangulo, noong nag-report po ako sa kanya ay sinabi ko po na talagang ating mga mahal na Eduardo Manalo ay talagang tumutulong po sa ating mga OFW.
Pagsa ng dami ng test, lalo na nanggagaling sa OFW, talagang magkokos ng konting congestion yon, no? Pero ngayon, like sinabi ni Secretary Galvez, minamadali na yon para nga yung mga OFWs natin ay finally makauwi na. We're computing that right now based on the number of tests that we can do. Kasi ngayon, dahil nga nagsisimula pa lang tayo mag-build up ng capacity, hindi pa natin ma-stabilize yung testing natin per day. Pero once na nag-stabilize tayo in the next few weeks, then we will be able to give a more definitive answer to that.
Also present during the inspection were Senator Manny Pacquiao and Maligay Development Corporation Chief Operating Officer Attorney Glisero G.P. Santos IV.
Napakalaking bagay ito at ito na yung malaking tulong para ma-resolve itong problema na ito. Magtulong-tulong tayo. Siguro lahat ng pwedeng tumulong, any agencies na makatulong para sa pag-resolve nitong problema na ito.
Earlier, 3 mega tents had been constructed beside the Philippine Arena as We Heal as One quarantine center for suspected COVID-19 patients, including those exhibiting mild symptoms and the asymptomatic or those who have no symptoms. Housing facilities have also provided for healthcare workers and other frontliners who will manage and treat the patients under quarantine in isolation facilities. There are currently more than 80 overseas Filipino workers who had been earlier repatriated who are now in the said quarantine and isolation facility inside the Ciudad de Victoria. The government officials again thanked the Iglesia ni Cristo Church of Christ for allowing the use of the Ciudad de Victoria compound, including the 20,000-seater Philippine Sports Stadium, as a mega swabbing facility.
Pasalamatan, Iglesia ni Cristo, ang ating Chief Minister Eduardo Manalo. Napakabuti niyo po at alam po namin, din ang puso niyo ay nasa OFW, being the special envoy of the OFW. Marami po kayong natulungan.
We cannot express how thankful we are to the Iglesia ni Cristo led by Ka Eduardo Manalo. Alam niyo po, ito pong Philippine Arena is a model for how we set up the end-to-end infrastructure ng test, trace, treat.
Reporting from Bukal, Bulacan for Eagle News, Erlo Bringas, we live in interesting times.
Thank you, Erlo, for that report. Before we close, we leave you with a word of hope. At the end of the day, there remains so much more to be grateful for. I'll see you again tomorrow evening. Good night. I'm Alma Angeles. We live in interesting times.
Says the best defense is still containment.
We are in uncharted territory.
Final volume 450. FYM to 100%. Standing by. transaction eh.